Your Excellency, Dr. Al-Khalifi, a thousand thanks. First, I would like to begin by expressing my deep gratitude for this generous invitation and the warm hospitality that is always shown by the beloved and friendly state of Qatar and our dear Qatari brothers and sisters. Qatar. And of course, we would like to thank Your Excellency. And of course, we would also like to thank His Highness and the Prime Minister, and the team who truly made a tremendous effort in this regard. And of course, this is not the first time. I mean, the whole world knows Qatar for its constant and pioneering role in this field, in the field of conflict resolution, in the field of mediation, always striving to find peaceful solutions to a large number of conflicts around the world, especially in the Middle East and the African continent. But of course, this is not limited to this region, but extends to other parts of the world as well. So, truly, 1,000 thanks. To Qatar and to the essential and pivotal role it plays, not only in this conflict but in all these conflicts we've talked about. Regarding the conflict between Congo and Rwanda, and regarding the internal conflict within Congo. Unfortunately, this is something very painful. Truly, these people have suffered a lot for at least 3 decades. And even if we want to go back in history, we could go much further back than that. But if we just want to limit the discussion to the last 3 decades, we know that these people in this region have suffered greatly. There have been losses of life exceeding 6 million victims, and a large number of refugees and displaced people, currently no less than 8 million, both displaced and refugees. So there is a real, deeply painful humanitarian tragedy. There is no doubt that the time has come. The time has come to find a final solution to this issue. And of course, the solution can only be a peaceful one. There is no other solution except a peaceful one for this conflict, and for many other conflicts that Qatar is working on, and which we are cooperating with our Qatari brothers to resolve. And now we can talk more about that. But there's no doubt that the only way to resolve this conflict is through peaceful means. And we know that there have been many initiatives, thankfully, over the years and decades, and we appreciate them. But as we know, unfortunately, most of these initiatives haven't managed to get us to the desired outcome. But as His Excellency mentioned, about 4 months ago, Qatar thankfully launched a very, very important initiative. And when His Highness called for a meeting between the Congolese and Rwandan presidents, Kagame, here in Doha, it was a very important meeting. It was the first face-to-face meeting between the two presidents in more than 3 years. So it was a cordial and fruitful meeting. And it was a very important meeting because of the practical results that followed it. So we secured an initiative within a short period after this meeting. President Trump and Secretary Rubio asked me to immediately head to the region to find a solution, especially regarding the humanitarian situation, of course. So this was probably the first responsibility I had when I started working with President Trump's administration, which, as we know, was only about 6 months old at the time. So this was probably the very first initiative we undertook, especially regarding the African continent. We know that the African continent suffers from a number of conflicts, and this is truly unfortunate. But with the cooperation of our Qatari brothers and a large number of partners, God willing, we will be able to reach solutions for several of these conflicts in the near future. So I immediately headed to the region and met with people. I had the honor of meeting with President Tshisekedi, then President Kagame, and a number of other presidents in the region. And within about 2 weeks of that first visit, we were able to reach a declaration of principles by both parties. This declaration was then ratified in Washington. That was about 3 months ago at the time. After that, we worked together with our Qatari brothers, and of course with the help of our brothers in the African Union, who have always played a pivotal and very important role. Especially through the presidency today of Angola, and through the country assigned to this file, which is Togo, as well as a large number of friends, as His Excellency mentioned, including France and others. So we got to work and were able to reach a peace agreement. Everyone wondered about this agreement on June 27th, which became known as the Washington Agreement. Everyone was asking whether it was a final agreement, a preliminary agreement, or what exactly this agreement was, because it was. It was signed by the foreign ministers. But we want to emphasize that this is the agreement. The final peace between the two countries, between Congo and Rwanda. Today, of course, we have to implement it together with our Qatari brothers, the African Union, and a number of partners. We are tasked today with implementing this peace agreement. And this was a very important peace agreement because it included a number of provisions that we can consider new and advanced, which did not exist in the past. Because everyone was wondering. There had been many initiatives in the past, and even agreements were reached on some of them, but they were never implemented. What is the difference between these agreements and the new agreement that was signed in Washington? And which will even be signed soon at the level of heads of state, God willing, at the White House. So there is a big difference. We can go into the details, of course, but this agreement included mechanisms for implementation and contained new provisions and new initiatives, some economic, some security-related, and some logical, all of which are very important in this context. Some of them relate to internal matters, and some relate to external matters between the two countries and in the region as a whole. So there are also a number of agreements that will be signed at the same time in Washington, which are also being prepared. So we consider this a comprehensive framework of issues that are being worked on seriously and intensively. As for the declaration that was signed today, we would like to congratulate both parties and extend our congratulations to the dear people of Congo, who truly deserve all the best. A people who have suffered a lot over many years and decades deserve to live in peace. They deserve to live with a certain level of prosperity. And we know that Congo is a country that lacks nothing at all in terms of natural and human resources. And water. and all the natural resources that any country could possibly have. I mean, any country and any people would enjoy these resources in such a vast and enormous country with a very large population, and it can play a pivotal and essential role. So we wish all the best to our brothers and sisters in Congo. Of course, we hope that this is just a first step. It's a declaration of principles. But these are very important principles that relate to a number of fundamental issues. But it is based on the principle of dialogue and on the principle of peace and resolving conflicts peacefully. So we wish all the best to our people in Congo, and we hope for good neighborly relations with Rwanda and the other neighboring countries, including Uganda, Burundi, Zambia, Angola, and others. We are very optimistic about Qatar's role, and we will immediately start working closely with our Qatari brothers. God willing, the full agreement whose principles were announced today will be completed soon, God willing, in the near future. We thank you once again, 1,000 thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency.
And now, over to the gentleman. The first question is from Al Jazeera Channel. Your Excellency, Minister.
What does this Declaration of Principles have to do with the agreement that was signed in Washington between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo?
Thank you so much. Our efforts here are very much complementary to the work that has been done by our colleagues and friends in the United States. Our goal is one and the same. Following the meeting of the heads of state in Doha, we managed to create a roadmap, a pathway toward peace, resolving the most important conflicts between the two countries. Fortunately, thanks to the efforts and significant contribution of our strategic partners, the United States, the Washington Agreement was signed. Following up on the Washington Agreement, we established this track in Doha to address the domestic dimension, which covers the conflicts within Congo. Therefore, all our efforts are complementary, aiming to bring more peace and stability and to create a better, more prosperous life for the people of Eastern DRC.
The second question is from Al Arabi Al Jadid.
Peace be upon you, Anwar al-Satid from Al Arabi Al Jadid. My question is for the U.S. Special Envoy for Peace. Do you believe that this agreement marks the beginning of the end for the conflict in Eastern Congo? And do the provisions of this agreement include guarantees to achieve that?
Thank you for the question. Of course, God willing, this agreement will be the beginning of the end for this long-standing conflict, and it includes provisions, as His Excellency mentioned, fundamental and very important provisions that address all the problems and disputes. The main axes of all these problems and disputes that the people of Congo are suffering from. It also includes an emphasis on very important general principles and a reaffirmation of existing initiatives related to the African Union, regional initiatives, the Washington Peace Agreement, and all these previous agreements and initiatives. And at the end of the declaration. That's right, it is a framework declaration. But we can consider it a somewhat detailed framework declaration. There are a number of very good details, and at the end of the declaration, there is also a kind of timeline, as well as a mechanism for implementation and a mechanism for follow-up. So, without a doubt, we hope that, God willing, this will be the final beginning to resolve this conflict.
The third question is from the French news agency.
Peace be upon you. I have two questions, if you allow me. The first question is for His Excellency the Minister. Your Excellency, what guarantees have you obtained to ensure both parties' commitment to the Declaration of Principles? And what steps are expected from both sides to move forward on the path to peace? The second question is from Mr. Boulis. You spoke about a Declaration of Principles, but you said it is more than that it contains more details. Will we see immediate tangible actions on the ground, for example? So, will the Kinshasa be able to enter the territories controlled by the M23? And on the other hand, will it be able to reopen banks, for example, in Goma or Bukavu? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Regarding the guarantees, I would like to emphasize the point I mentioned, that the commitment and the implementation of the commitment fall on both parties to the conflict. As both parties to the declaration have agreed on a number of fundamental principles included in the terms of the agreement, and these terms are subject to a follow-up mechanism. What distinguishes today's agreement between the two parties, as His Excellency the Advisor mentioned, is that this is not the first agreement between them. There have been previous agreements. But what truly sets this agreement apart this time is the significant international involvement that both parties to the agreement have committed to, especially regarding the establishment of detailed follow-up mechanisms through which we can produce clear reports directed at the parties concerning the implementation of these terms. And the declaration that was issued today is merely a preliminary statement of fundamental principles that effectively paves the way for a truly comprehensive and detailed agreement, which will cover all the main and significant points related to the underlying root causes of the ongoing dispute between the two involved parties. Therefore, our efforts will not stop after today's announcement. The working teams will continue their work, and we will, God willing, keep striving to achieve this desired goal, which is the signing of a comprehensive and general agreement between the two parties.
All right, thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you for the precise and detailed question. It's clear that you are very well informed about how things are going. Of course, that's the goal. The goal of any agreement. Peace is about achieving the outcomes you kindly mentioned and asked about. We know there are no magic solutions, especially when it comes to the timeline. There is serious work being done by both parties, and as His Excellency mentioned, also by the international community. Today, we know there is significant international interest in this issue, in addition to regional attention. For example, the United Nations. This is one of the very important files for the UN, especially on the humanitarian level and in terms of MONUSCO, for instance, which is present in this region of Eastern Congo for years now. For years. In addition to the international community in general, Qatar, the United States, France, Britain, and a large number of other countries. In addition to, of course, the African Union and regional unions like the EAC and SADC, this is undoubtedly the desired outcome. One of the most important points of the nuclear declaration is the emphasis on the state's control and authority over all its territory. And this is natural for any country. Regardless of who the president is, the administration, or the officials. This is an issue that concerns any country, but the state's control over all its territory. But we know that there is an ongoing conflict. The issue requires dialogue and follow-up. This dialogue requires perseverance and reaching detailed, comprehensive, and complete agreements. And I want to emphasize that this is true. Today, these principles were announced, but with our Qatari brothers, there has been diligent work on the details, and God willing, soon. As we said, God willing, soon they will be able to, with the facilitation of our Qatari brothers and with full support and encouragement from us and from a number of partners. We hope that both parties will be able to reach a solution, a complete and comprehensive solution that addresses all these details. There is no doubt that steps can be taken. These things can be done gradually, but this is the desired goal, and we hope that the people of Congo can reach it as soon as possible. This conflict is undoubtedly internal, and the dialogue is internal between the two parties. Of course, we can't forget that we can't say it's a purely internal conflict. There are always, in all these conflicts around the world, many parties that get involved, taking one side or another. But all these parties started out with good intentions, and that's the most important thing here, the way this issue is approached with goodwill. And here, honestly, I would like to thank both presidents, President Tshisekedi and President Paul Kagame, whom I had the honor of having detailed conversations with this week, and they showed complete openness to the truth. To access this important announcement, I would also like to thank President Kagame, President Rwanda, and the representatives who were present with us today at the highest levels for helping and contributing to moving this issue forward.
This concludes the press conference. Thanks. Thank you for clicking. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Hello, Hussein. Help yourself.